Hello everybody, Jake your resident content cowboy here, Yeehaw. I'm taking a look at Secluded Springs and giving you a tier list on this set. I wanted to do one just a couple days into the set, which is what I've been doing recently, but I had multiple updates on not only Pocket, but Unite, so I'm a little bit behind, but I want to give you my kind of early take on Secluded Springs, but I do think a lot of it's kind of been figured out here, right? So let's take a look at our tiers. We have our God tier, where I'm only going to put one card that I think is the best thing or the most relevant thing in the meta. We're not friggin' Norse around here. We have our S tier, extremely good, very impactful cards that could be impactful for a long time. A tier, really solid, especially in this set. B tier, still got the B tier. These cards are fine. C tier is kind of like cheese. I'll even call it that. It's sort of the cheese tier. We have our D tier, aka the Dragonite tier. Tier named after Dragonite when it was terrible, but now Dragonite's actually pretty good. Pack filler, these cards are just like completely useless. And Looker tier, the worst tier of all time for cards that are kind of negative useless, right? I'm going to try to go through as many of these as I can and give my take on the meta right now, what became like a really good card, what wasn't super relevant. Let's see, where do we want to begin here? Let's start with, I'm going to pull my EXs here. Just going to set them into our Looker tier. We're definitely going to talk about all of our EXs. Let's see what else we're going to talk about. I want to talk about Altaria. I want to talk about Cursola. We could talk about the two babies here, Igglybuff and Azurill. Boltund is a cool card to talk about. Milotic, Celebi, Zoroark, Mantike. I'll just pull up Latios as in Latios. What else is like a pretty interesting card in this set? Obviously our supporters need to be talked about. Traveling Merchant, Morty, Whitney. Memory Light is a cool card to talk about. Zangoose, Miltank, Inflatable Boat. I mean, it is a card. Inflatable Boat. What else is like super relevant in this set? You could talk about New Fanfy, I guess, a little. It is interesting what it's kind of brought to the meta here a bit. And yeah, that's about all of the cards I think we need to address here, right? So let's get into it. Let's start with our non-EXs, then I'll move on to our EXs. Altaria, I think, is a really good card, and I think this is a kind of card that's going to get more and more value as it goes on, right? Altaria has the ability to deal 100 damage as long as it has 2 different color energy on it. It's dragon type, so it has no weaknesses. Its retreat cost is a little high at 2. That's probably one of the only issues with it, I would say. But otherwise, I really like Altaria. I think it's a really, really solid card. And it could get better as things move on, right? Galarian Cursola is cheese. However, very, very fun. This card allows when your opponents KO it with a direct attack, they're going to flip a coin and maybe KO themselves. This card's retreat cost also is a little frustrating, and it requires 2 Psychic, so it can't be splashed into a ton of different decks, but I do think it's pretty cool and pretty fun, while also being very, very cheesy. Let's move on from our babies just for a second here. I want to talk about all of them together. Boltund, I think, is good. Like pretty middle of the road, but if it takes any damage, right, it attacks for a single energy for 70. That's pretty solid. The drawbacks, of course, being it needs to it's a stage 1, so you have to evolve it, and you still need to figure out a way to get damage on it. There are multiple ways to do that. We used it with an Emolga deck. I like it. I don't love it. It does punish your opponents for wanting to deal any damage, which I think is quite cool. Milotic, I think, is good. Pretty dang good card. You drop it onto the bench or in the active spot, and it heals a Pokemon for 60. Water's also gotten a lot better in this set due to Suicune and Mantike, so I think this is a solid card and will help water decks for a long time. I like it. Celebi, I think, is really good with future potential, right? This card, I feel like, could be sort of evergreen as we continue to move forward with some of the sets. Like, Celebi just... It's really good. Devolving your opponent sets up some surprising KOs, but it's also a scary threat that even megas and things like that are going to need to worry about, right? Which I think is quite cool. Let's see. Zoroark is fine. I think Zoroark's okay. I think you can make some fun decks with it. It reminds me a lot of Boltund. 2 energy for the damage isn't bad, and its ability, Elusive Trickery, is quite cool, but I don't think it really moves too far currently out of being like a a pretty good card in this set, but I don't know if it's going to be something that's super relevant. Maybe once we get some dark energy generation at some point, this card could be crazy good. All right, fan fee. Good. I think this helps our Donphan decks pretty considerably because of its combination with Memory Light, and it's just a nice little combo that they're like, hey, this is how to use this item, and in the future we could come up with even cooler ways for Memory Light to be useful. Our babies. We've got Mantike, we've got Igglybuff, and we've got Azurill. I gotta be honest, Iggly and Azurill, I have not found like super amazing uses for them. Azurill might be the worst one of the three. Here's the thing. The ability to heal in the active spot for no energy is cool, but by the time you need that healing, you're kind of already losing. However, you're already giving up a point with it. However, I do think with the possibility of megas coming, not the possibility, the guaranteed fact that megas are coming, you might be okay with giving up points in a situation like this, because all that matters is keeping your mega healthy in a certain fight. So like megas, you lose 3 points if you lose them, so you lose it's the game. This actually could get value as the set moves on. And then Igglybuff I think is just okay. It's a fun effect, but it just seems like it's okay. Latios feels good. Probably hanging out in the B tier here with some of the other good cards in the set. It, like, obviously pairing this Latias and then using a Psychic deck. Psychic's just great right now, so I do think you could make some really fun decks with it. Traveling Merchant. Well, let's go for other Pokemon. Zangoose, I think, is actually pretty good. The nice thing about this card is it's kind of like Druddigon, but it requires 2 colorless energy with a single retreat cost. I actually really enjoyed this card at the start of the set. I've only built a couple decks with it. I should build some more with it, but I think it's actually a pretty dang good card. Its only issue, of course, is it doesn't have an insane amount of HP, but the fact that it's colorless, the fact that you can actually attack with it, and the fact that it just kind of has like a built-in Rocky Helm, I think is all really solid. Miltank, I think, is pretty good. It might be close. I think it's like high B tier. I can hear some arguments that it's maybe closer to the cheese tier, but I actually think it's quite good. And people aren't doing this yet, but I think you could put Miltank in a lot of different decks. Just as something that like is sitting in the active spot, something your opponents have to deal with. It only requires a single energy. It's got great HP. I do think you could play a cheesy deck with this, and I actually think you could slot this into other decks and be very annoying with it. Next we have, let's move on to our supporters here. We have Traveling Merchant, allowing you to pull tools from your deck. I have to say, I think this is at best C tier. You search through your deck, you see 4 cards. If they're tools, you put them in your hand. It seems like specific. Oh, we don't have Slowbro on here. Let me grab Slowbro. Sorry, everybody. I'm realizing I didn't put it on this list here. Where are you, buddy? The slowest of bros. Is it not on here? Why am I not seeing it? There it is. Slow King is what I meant. Sorry. Slow King. I'll talk about Slow King here in a sec. Yeah, I think this is really only set up kind of for Slow King decks. Maybe a few other like tool heavy decks could get some use out of it. It seems extremely specific and not very good to me. It's like the closest supporter, I think, to Dragonite tier. It might even be that bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm being mean here. It might be the worst supporter card in the set. Maybe. Morty. Morty is actually a cool card that is quite cheesy. So I would think Morty's actually, you do get some more value out of Morty than you do with Traveling Merchant. The ability to rearrange your opponent's deck is pretty cool. You kind of have to use it later, right? Because otherwise they're going to have options to shuffle their deck and just sort of cancel out the nice little bonus that you created for yourself, or the nice little setup that you've created for yourself. But I do think in certain Psychic decks this could be pretty useful. Then we have Whitney. Whitney's probably the best supporter card in this set. It is specific to Miltank, so I'll set it right next to it, but its specific use is quite good, right? Traveling Merchant's specific use I don't think is that good. Morty's is okay. Like, Whitney is actually extremely good. It's just only good for a single card. So what are you gonna do? We can talk about Slow King here. I need to spend more time with Slow King, but my early thought is this thing is terrible. Like the few games I played with it, I feel like it is awful, worse than cheese. I could be wrong though. I'm like fully ready to be wrong about Slowking, but dang, I do not like this card at all. And I was excited for it. I guess like you could see how I feel about Slowking based on Traveling Merchant and Slowking hanging out in our D tier here. I don't like this card. I don't find it very useful. Like I think cheesy decks are fun. Like I think Mag Cargo's fun. I think Miltank is fun. I don't think this is even fun, but I need to spend more time with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Memory Light, I think, is very good. Moving on to our tools here. I think Memory Light's extremely good, and I think Memory Light, I think Memory Light has great future potential. It already sets up some cool plays, like we talked about it with Famfi. You could do things with it and execute. You can make plays with that. There are lots of cards that get a nice little bonus from being able to attack with one of their earlier attacks. Some people want to use it with like a Dragonite EX deck, so you could attack with either the Dratini or Dragonair's ability when you can't use your attack again. I think this is the kind of card that could stay a relevant card as sets continue to progress, which I think is quite cool. Inflatable Boat, I think, is actually better than people recognize, especially because water's getting better. Maybe cheese is as high as I can put it, but I've actually found like some really good use cases for the ability to just have a card that is one less retreat cost, but it always exists, right? It's not like an X speed that you get to use once or a leaf that you get to use once. However, if you're not like bringing something back that has a 1 or 2 cost retreat and a 1 or 2 cost attack, it gets a lot less value, right? So I'm going to put Inflatable Boat here in our cheese tier. Now onto our EXs. So as far as like other things that I didn't put in here, if I didn't talk about them, I generally think they're pack filler, but maybe I need to spend more time with them. Like Miss Magius, I think the idea behind it is kind of cool, but it actually doesn't work that well because your opponents just leave and then it doesn't do anything, or it just like there are so many ways to like mess with it. Other cards that I just aren't that amazing, like Durant maybe has some use or something like this. Maybe this is closer to our D tier. Maybe you could make a cool kind of Talonflame deck, but I think a lot of this other stuff is just not super relevant. I need to spend more time with some of it though, so I could be wrong. Now let's talk about our EXs. So we have Poliwrath, Jumpluff, Raikou, Suicune, and Entei. I think there's a clear winner out of all of these, and it's Suicune. I don't think many people would argue with me here. I think Suicune is one of the best out of this group. I think followed by probably Raikou. I think Raikou is the next. I think Entei, Jumpluff, and Poliwrath all have different uses. It's probably more like this. If I were to rank each one on a tier, it's well, I don't know if I could. I think Poliwrath and Jumpluff are both okay. One of my first decks I built that I really enjoyed was a Jumpluff deck. I think Entei is one of those cards that actually could get better as sets go on, you know, like finding more uses with fire. I think Suicune is the best of the set, no question. And I think Raikou is really close. I actually think people undervalued this card like in a big way early on, but with water getting better, lightning is great. The card draw from these is all incredible. If I had to pick one card to be the god tier card, I think I've made it very clear with how I've even structured my list. I do think Suicune is the best card in the set, and I think there are other cards that are quite good that you could say are really good. Like I think you could say like maybe Mantike, Raikou are maybe like closer to S tier cards as well, and then everything else kind of like fills out like this. But I do think our god tier card is Suicune. I don't think anyone would be shocked by me saying that. It's just been so dang good. Let me know what you think I got right, got wrong. Obviously, we have so much more of this set to play, and there are so many more cool decks to make. I'm sure there are things that I'm off on. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And of course, we will come back to this near the end of the set. I love you. I'll see y'all next time. We did it.